can't go into churches without formatting.
Hey, all, how you doing? It's early tonight. Normally you catch us at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but because of the time difference, obviously, we're earlier tonight, but you can listen to the live show. Well, it's not live. The replay, the rebroadcast on the New Visions Radio Network at 9 p.m. in our regular slot. And tonight, first-time guest, Mark of Haunted Truth. Welcome, man.
Hello.
Welcome. Great to have you.
And hello, everyone else.
Paranormal investigator and content creator here on YouTube. You know what? Like, why the paranormal? Why for you the paranormal?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So I had other YouTubes prior to Haunted the Truth. My first I started when I was 16, so about 5 years ago. I'm only joking. But it's always worth a try, isn't it? It's always worth a try. But yeah, that was Mad Mark channel, and I started that like sort of in school when it was still Google Video before it went to YouTube.
Wow. Yeah.
And I used to make parodies and comedies and stuff like that. And then I had another one after that where it was like the chili guys, where I just, like, me and my mate used to grow chilies, and we used to like tell people how to grow chilies.
Yeah.
But throughout all this time, I was always sort of into the paranormal, and I would go to events and I would just film them on my camera, like, and I'd never really put them anywhere. I used to just put them on my Facebook page, and I used to be very, very skeptical about it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then it wasn't until later on that I met someone else who was interested in the paranormal, and his name was Chris, and he was in my team at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, he's left to go do his own thing.
Yeah.
But when I met him, he showed me a different avenue of investigating comparative to how I was doing it with the events.
Okay.
And he was like, look, just give it a chance, come along, try this out, and see how it gets on. So I was like, all right. And we weren't filming or anything at the time. There was no idea for Haunted the Truth at the time. It was just, come along to this location and see what something happens. And we had some weird stuff happen. And then from that, I was like, well, do you know what? Like, should we make something of this, like a debunking show?
Mm-hmm.
And it was meant to be, the idea was that we were going to go to places, and then I would turn up and go, oh, it's the pipes.
Mm.
But
Okay.
then, because then things started happening, my interest spiked even more.
Ooh, yeah.
And I was like, okay, no, there is something going on.
Mm-hmm.
And now I need to know. And it's just gone from sort of like the bare bone of skepticism to open skepticism to what the hell's going on.
And I mean, I think that's really important. I mean, you really do need to be a healthy skeptic.
Yeah.
And I see, like, we've talked about this a million times. The amount of people that just outright debunk and just don't give they don't care. And I think, everybody has a way of looking at the paranormal and how they approach the paranormal. And, some may use gadgets, some may not, some may just go in grassroots. I mean, whatever works for you, fine. I mean, let's face it. I mean, we really don't know. I mean, there are no experts at what we're dealing with, other than it's unknown and science can't explain it. You can theorize about it, but at this point, we can't explain it. So, but yeah, like I said, I was watching your latest video there, the Bristol House, and just I've watched a few of your vids, and I noticed that you're not afraid to show that nothing happens.
No.
We're a lot of people, a lot of people here will go, well, we got to throw something in here. We got to throw them a bone, even if they really do think it's something paranormal. But I mean, why is it that you aren't afraid to show nothing happens.
Well, because the ethos from the
Yeah.
from the get go was, if we see nothing, you see nothing.
Yeah.
I wanted to be completely transparent and honest about what was going on in the places. The only thing that I've got in my head is, okay, this is how I'm going to go about conducting the investigation. So if I know the place, or I've been to the place before and I want to say stuff about it, that's the only stuff I've got down really as like bullet points in my mind.
Mhm.
Everything then on after that is just showing, but I wouldn't say I show everything where it's nothing, because if it were that case, I'd have a 4-hour long video.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think there has to be a balance between, like, let's say I do go somewhere. So the tunnel episode, it was very limited with stuff that was going on in that episode,
Mhm.
to the point that it was, you could say, well, it's water contamination, dripping noises and such, but you can still draw someone in
Mhm.
with tension,
Oh, absolutely.
with that slow walking down a dark area with nothing but a little torchlight going into
Mhm.
like the unknown sort of atmosphere, and including like a very light sort of undertone track
Yeah.
to set the mood.
Mhm.
And then you can get away with just having that as an episode, and just go, well, there you go, nothing happened, but at least I had you on the edge of your seat the entire episode.
Exactly.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Have you ever had any negative feedback about those episodes where you don't have anything happen?
No, they just, I mean, obviously they don't do as well, like through the view count.
Right.
They, like an episode where it's absolute carnage, and these are the sorts of episodes that the naysayers will focus on. They won't
Mhm.
they wouldn't have seen any of the the things where nothing happens, and they will go, oh, Haunted Truth, they always got everything happening. It's like, well, no, you've only watched the ones with like 1K views because something crazy's happened in the episode and everyone's watching it.
Mhm.
Whereas the ones where it's like not as much going on, it never seems to be like, I've never had anyone go, oh, that was really, really like pointless. Well, not to my face anyway.
Have you had like people come at you and say, look it, what the hell are you doing? This is you're faking.
Of
ridiculous.
course, there's always gonna be that. What do you know? What I find is, it's okay. There's people out there that seem to be very objective, a very objective debunker, such as Mr. Gray, who he will look at something and he will go, oh, hang on, that might have been something to do with the way the lighting was that casted that weird shadow in the background, and actually like pick it apart like that. And then there's other people out there that don't seem to have the brain capacity to think anything other than, well, that can't be real.
I agree. I mean that if I'm going to present something to the masses, and I've said this a million times, you have to have a thick skin, because if you don't have a thick skin and you can't handle criticism, then you shouldn't be doing this. I want people to pick things apart. I want people to show me what I'm missing. If I'm missing something, I want you to show me that I'm missing something.
100%.
Right? And that's when I say, for the most part, I don't like saying evidence. I hate saying the word evidence, because I can't really prove that it's evidence or not. I mean, I cannot, the other way goes too. But I mean, I can't prove that it is, other than it's a finding of interest. Right. So, but yeah, I mean, when you, when you have presented the stuff, and you have, say somebody who's come along, like as you mentioned, has constructively picked apart something that you've kind of presented. And I mean, what do you normally do? Do you normally?
Well, nobody really had. I mean, I've
Oh
had
yeah.
the odd, not from anyone big. I've obviously had comments where someone said, um, oh, it could be this or it could be that, and then I will look at it and analyze it myself, and then make my mind up on if I think that they're stretching. I mean, everybody can have an opinion like that, and I'm obviously in my right to turn around and say, well, I think you're stretching a bit there, or
Yeah.
you weren't there at the time. It isn't that, because I already had that covered. I mean, a lot of the time, because I was so open skeptic, and I spent a good portion, not many people know this, before Haunted the Truth, which has been going for like about 6 years now.
Mhm.
I spent a good portion of my time going to events and pretty much just condemning everything that would happen. So I condemn my own footage. Like, anybody that's worked with me in the past and edited with me in the past will tell you that I'm a nightmare, because they'll be like, Mark, that's amazing. I'll be like, no, but, well, it might be. And I'm there like putting down my own stuff. And it's like, no, Mark, that's like, that definitely is something. And I'm like, well, I don't know. It could have been this. So I don't necessarily need other people to do it. But I have had, I had a personal conversation between myself and Parple, who is
Yep.
he's a really, really great guy. He's a really down to
Yep.
earth guy.
Very familiar with them.
And he spoke to me about certain shadows and stuff, and he's got a lot of expertise in lighting. So he was like, oh, I think this is a lighting issue, and I just had to take that for face value, because I don't know bugger all about lighting. It's not something I can really argue the toss about. I can't go, well, actually, you know what I mean? I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, and well, that's another thing. I mean, there are people that are very, very knowledgeable about certain aspects of some of the tools in the environments that you're investigating in. So we know a lot of the tools that are employed were made for ghost hunting, but I mean they're made to sort of measure an environmental sort of aspect.
We have one.
Yeah.
Might have one down here. And here's one I made earlier. Oh, there it is. One of them.
yeah, exactly.
Which will go ballistic in here because the Wi-Fi.
The Wi-Fi, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of people they just assume that that's picking up a ghost or that's picking up a spirit, and they don't actually, use it properly.
The way that I look at it is, so this picks up. Well, it doesn't even pick up electromagnetism. First of all, it picks up millijoules, which is a magnetic wave form. Now, originally, the concept was that when this thing starts spiking, and when I mean spiking, I mean past yellow onwards, and everything else has been ruled out, phones, radio towers, etc. I had a hypothesis that the spirit, demon, entity, dimensional being, whatever you want to call it, whatever anyone's personal belief is for it, is somehow utilizing the magnetic field or some sort of electrical field by either using their energy to put out, or drawing energy, and that picks up on the energy being drawn. So, for example, people talk about phone batteries dying rapidly, or camera batteries dying rapidly, or physically feeling drained yourself, like from being completely fine to then suddenly like lethargic within seconds. That's obviously something having an impact on your physical energy within like your within you. And I've come to the conclusion that this may be picking up that
exact sort of
yeah. And I was trying to find cause and effect for it, and then I built a Faraday cage, which is somewhere in this room, because I wanted to rule out any external.
And it's very important to have a Faraday cage, especially when you're doing all sorts of, say audio work, EVP work, and so on and so on, to sort of shut the outside world, if you will. and
Hmm.
capture. I mean, most people haven't got a clue what a Faraday cage is.
They're just a ball like to carry around. That's what I found out. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I built this, but it's such an like if I'm traipsing through the woods, for example,
Yeah.
I just like I'm not taking that. Oh, here it is. I just seen it in the corner of my eye. For those of you that are watching this that don't know what this is,
That's a Faraday cage.
it's a Faraday cage. So inside it is coated with copper mesh.
Yes. Copper.
It's basically like your microwave at home.
Tom is asking, can you use AirPods in the cage?
Do you know what? I have found out that there is a very, very slight signal that can get through.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the set with a microwave as well. So if you get two walkie-talkies, if I put an EMF in that box and I get a walkie-talkie and I go like this with the walkie-talkie, nothing happens to the EMF.
Yeah.
If I take it out, it starts going mental. But if I put one walkie-talkie in there or on my microwave downstairs, and I have another walkie-talkie here, and I press the call button, the signal gets through.
Oh, wow.
So something is breaching, but it might be at a different frequency. It could be at a lower band.
There's not a leak inside that box at all, you think?
Well, I tested it with my actual microwave downstairs, which is basically a Faraday cage, and it does exactly the same.
Okay.
You can call a CB radio. What bloody hell? A walkie-talkie radio. You can call it from inside the microwave, and it will go off. So it's not foolproof.
Yeah,
but it's enough. It's enough for me to go, okay, if that EMF goes to red, then there, the sort of I looked up online, and the signal that would have to get through is I think it's like lower band, and that's things like
well, you're looking at what infrared, right?
Infrasound. Amps.
Yeah.
And I think it was MRI scans.
MRI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then somebody said to me, well, if anything's getting through at that level, then the last thing you want to be worrying about is ghosts. If there's like if you've got magnetic field at that rate, that's dangerous to be around.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I mean, these are things that a lot of people don't really employ, right? I mean, a lot of these groups out there, and it's a thing. It's really not important to them to have that sort of equipment to sort of. It's not like they're really trying to prove what is paranormal. It's not. I mean, we can't, anyways. But I mean, we can assume, right?
No. You can get closer to trying to figure something out.
Yeah.
The way I look at the paranormal is that everything that's confined within this universe has to comply with the laws of physics.
Yeah.
So if something is performing an action, like I've seen items like go across rooms, and I've seen ladders lift up and slam down by themselves, and just mental things like that. Now, we might not necessarily ever be able to figure out the culprit behind the action, but we might be able to figure out what's causing the action. So, for example, if this goes up in the air like that, and I've chucked that up in the air, you can see me chucking it in the air, so you know that I'm the one that's creating the action. Well, imagine I didn't exist. You could say, well, what is that?
What is tossing that thing?
Some sort of energy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
What am I trying to say? It's like when an item goes across a room, my original thought was, okay, is it using some sort of static discharge?
Yeah.
I think the point was where you're trying to decipher whether we would know for sure if it was paranormal or ghosts or not.
You can't hear?
Oh no, what's happened?
Uh-oh.
Oh, hello?
Hello. Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
When I chucked this and it landed on my keyboard, it hit mute.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Alex.
No, I was going to say, I think your point was you're trying to, we were talking about whether we can actually prove it's ghosts per se. can prove something's happening. We just don't know exactly who it's causing.
No, you're never going to. I mean, unless somebody truly does manage to capture a full-blown apparition of something, picking something up, lobbing it, and then passing through a solid wall, which to date has never happened, but it would be brilliant if it did. I don't think we're ever going to see the thing that's doing it, but we could figure out the how, not the what.
And in this day and age, even if you did capture that full-blown apparition, people will just say, "Yeah, you're faking
you just
it.
Put it in. It's AI.
Yeah.
It's that. Well,
and that's the sad thing about things.
I've got a high 8 camera down there.
Yeah,
and that's the sort of camera you'd have to catch it on, because that would go to tape, and I would argue, how the hell would that be faked? I'd be that is on a digital, like an analog tape.
I still have my my high 8s. I love them. If the only problem is getting the damn tapes now are a pain in the butt, and they're expensive now.
Do you think it's enough to say something is paranormal now when there's something abnormal going on to the degree where you cannot physically explain it with anything physics-wise? Is it acceptable to say, well, okay, this might actually be paranormal?
I think if you have been smart enough to, use all the equations and, you can't recreate it. And I mean, there's always something that science comes out of the woodwork and says, okay, well, this is this.
Yeah.
But there's not an answer for everything. But yeah, I mean, there are situations that I know I've been in that I'm sorry, I can't explain this.
Mm-hmm.
And I've given it, people who might be sort of experts in audio or video or whatever, and you give it to them and they've looked at it and they've analyzed it and they're like, wait a second, this is just not normal. Right? And then you go, okay, maybe there is a possibility that what I've captured here is paranormal.
Anything that's unexplainable technically can fall under the paranormal umbrella.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a very out there theory for what I think it might be. Which is
out there theories are the best. Come on, let's hear it.
So I like to play with the idea of that it's some sort of cross-dimensional being that we can obviously see within three-dimensional plane. String theories recently, there's some stuff in string theory which is saying that there's multiple dimensional planes, and then there's hypothesized that if there was a fourth, fifth, sixth dimension, that there could be living beings or living creatures or living astral whatever.
Well, and I think, and pretty much when you're getting into the sort of the fourth dimension sort of theory, we wouldn't be able to conceive it.
No, you can't.
Our brain would never be able to conceive the fourth dimension.
You can't conceive it, but it would be able to see us.
Yeah, it'd be able to see us, but we'd be like, is that like, you had this glitch, and then wait a sec, what? Who knows?
The way someone explained something to me once, I found it quite profound. And they said that so if this piece of paper, that's flat, so that's 2D.
Yeah.
And if there's a let's say there's this here, let's say this was 2D as well, and it sat there in the 2D plane minding its own business, and there's 2D beings here, and here. It can't see me here or down here, but I can come in and physically move that item and throw it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And to the 2D creatures, all they will see is that item disappear and then reappear. And then this person said that if a 4D being did that, we wouldn't see, a big hand come down. We would just see the item move, but not the thing that's moved it. And I sort of run with that idea because it's fun.
Rochelle's asking, do you have knowledge of string theory physics?
limited. Pretty much what I've just said there is about as far as it's going to get.
I think
there's some weird stuff like quantum entanglement and stuff like that as well, which gets
quantum physics is amazing. But
let's not go there. My brain can't handle it at this time of the
night. I think the extent of mine is watching that. What was that guy that kid that trended on YouTube for years about explaining
is this the one that like disappeared and
the one that disappeared,
the government killed him.
He came back years later and he's like, wow, he's an interesting character still. Holy crap. But his explanation of the fourth dimension is like, wow, that's just insane.
I've got a friend who's a computational chemist, and I've put this idea to him, and he's basically said to me, it's a fun idea, but you're wrong. And I was like, okay. Great. Back to the drawing board I go then.
Oh yeah, it's that's literally what we have to deal with the paranormal, though. I mean, this is it's in a realm that we obviously can't fully understand, obviously. And I mean, it sort of backs up into the age old, question, what is it? Does it have something to do with after death? I mean, what happens after we die? I mean, are we reincarnated? Do we go to a different plane of existence? I mean, these questions sort of overlap and are kind of flooded in the paranormal.
It's a difficult one when it goes down, and I'm never going to refute or condemn anybody for having that whatever personal belief they have for continue on after life or anything like that. I mean, at the end of the day, what I do when I'm doing it, a ghost hunt within the paranormal investigations that I do is part and parcel of what I do.
Yeah.
So, it would be nice to find evidence to support that idea. And there's some stuff which even makes me go, okay, that's definitely weird. Like, I've heard stories about people seeing people look like real people and then describing what they've seen to a friend, and then the friend saying, oh, that was my granddad you've just seen. He died 5 years ago. You know what I mean? That's sort of weird. Like, I've never had that happen personally myself, but there's a lot of accounts of this happening. And then, like you said, reincarnation, people remembering past lives, like children, the age of like 6, being able to like fully account for. I think there was a young. But then again, it's on telly, so it's like, well, how much of this is?
Yeah, how much of it is real?
But there was one that was a 6-year-old, and they talked about, I think, being on the Titanic, and they described like the mechanics and everything down to a T. And I'm like, well, either that's real or that 6-year-old needs to get into acting quick time because that's someone else.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few stories about people who have kind of like the past life regression, or like bringing sort of information out of the ether and going, wow, okay, how did this person know this?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, well, how do you explain that?
And then there's like the mediums, and I get that most mediums, there is a lot of portion of medium and clairvoyancy which has been used to fake things. People are charlatans, they lie, they scam people, they take their money, and I think that's terrible. And the likes of the great James Randi, Houdini originally, and more recently Darren Brown have been calling them all out and proven otherwise. But that's not to say that I haven't come across people in my life which have made me go, right, there's no way you should have known that, where it's been like on the nose, precise, something I've never posted anywhere, and they've said something, and I'm just like, you shouldn't know that information. I took 2 mediums to a location near which is haunted, and one of the things was we caught a really bizarre picture behind a tree.
Yeah,
I got it on my phone actually for reference. And basically, they could have seen the episode. I get that, but this is in a forest in the woods in the middle of nowhere. This is sort of like a enhanced version of it, but the light's gonna whatever that is there behind the tree, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay. Now, you wouldn't be able to tell what tree that is in a park, would you?
No.
No. So one of them walks down, right? And then all of a sudden he goes, "Oh, I don't like it here." And I'm like, "Why?" And he says, "Oh, I'm picking up some sort of energy, like something that's not very nice right here." And he stood next to that tree.
Wow.
And I'm there going, "Should we tell him?" like, this is weird.
That is weird. Holy crap. Yeah.
I can't ignore these things. I can't prove them.
No, but I mean they're interesting and they're worth a look at. I mean, honestly, like I said, when you hear stuff or when you experience stuff like that, you have to look at it. The possibility of it.
Well, especially as an investigator, like just because I think something might be a little bit woo, like doesn't mean that I'm not going to look into it. That's the whole point. I've been recently studying certain parts of like Christianity and God and stuff like that, because it's all part and parcel. I don't just focus on the one thing.
Well, I mean, yeah, again, if you're looking at the paranormal from a religious sort of standpoint, a lot of, if you're looking at the Western world, and how they many of these people look at the paranormal or approach the paranormal through a sort of a religious sort of aspect. For years, it's been like that, Christianity and Catholicism and demons and so on and so on. But I mean, I've always kind of the way I've always looked at it is, you need to be outside that box. I mean, I think the religious sort of aspect of looking at the paranormal has had so many years to explain what's going on, and maybe it can. We just don't. They're not telling us. I don't know, but I mean, I really think that we need to think outside that sort of religious sort of aspect to kind of get outside that box, if you know what I mean.
I think everybody needs to come together and put all their pieces of puzzle down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we might actually, instead of like arguing the toss, look at things a little bit more objectively and put the pieces together, and you might actually start getting somewhere into the right direction.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll ever fully know. If there was answers, we probably should have known by now. I believe there was a massive, it's not really spoke about too much.
Yeah.
But, it was a sector in the regime of Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
For Hitler actually ordered for people to look into the paranormal as a possibility to use it and utilize it in war.
Oh, wow.
It's touched on a little bit in fiction with Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And games like Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
But I believe, stop me if I'm wrong, if there's anyone here that knows history, I believe that they did look into a lot of, the paranormal claims to try and use this.
I know that Himmler was heavily involved with that.
Yeah, well, they had their sort of supernatural arm. Because I know Hitler was very, very intrigued with it as well. In fact, I mean, I think a lot of it led him to seek these treasures that apparently that they found.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
The Ark of the Covenant and so on and so on. I can't remember the panel of people he had underneath that were actually looking at and collecting these sort of, these vital pieces of, if you will, the supernatural or the supernatural. And bringing it to, I believe he housed a lot of these possessions. What was it? He had a cottage. Where was it? He had this in the mountains of, was it Belgium? I think. Is it Belgium or Austria?
Austria. If you're talking about that big facility he had built.
Yeah,
that was in Austria.
Austria that basically housed a lot of these items that were collected by the special sort of arm of the SS, if you will. Hey B, how are you? But I don't know. Like I said, there's so much things that you can kind of dive into with Nazi Germany.
I just think that if anyone would have figured it out with the amount that they put into it,
they would have.
Surely they would have done it.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the same people that ultimately inadvertently created the space age.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And they created the highways and like motorways and the autobahn and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's all because of, as horrific as those times were, there was a lot of inventions that were made through war, and you would think that one of the things that could have come from it is fundamentally knowing what the paranormal is about.
Yeah, Project Paperclip. Yeah, no, absolutely. They did, obviously, they were technically years ahead of everyone else in their technology. And again, you want to look at going down the Nazi Bell sort of route. And I mean, there's another thing that was believed to be of extraterrestrial sort of technology that they were able to get their hands on because of their contact with them, supposedly. I mean, is that a reality? Who knows? I mean, but when you look at the technology and the innovations that a lot of these German scientists brought to Russia and, of course, the U.S. after World War II.
Yeah, there was a lot. Yeah. I feel like we've digressed a little bit there, but yeah. I can do. I've got ADHD for anyone who's
that's fine. That's
if I start going off at
join the club. I think Alex and myself have the same thing.
What are we talking about? What?
Don't be worried. To rail me back in if I start going off on a rant about something.
That's fine. We love rants.
Have you watched any of our shows? You'll see that all of them go off the rail.
We always go off the rail.
Yeah. I think I can't remember which one it was now, but I did get to see one. But then I realized I didn't sub, and I was like, because it came up on the thing, it was like, you must only subscribers can talk, and I was like, am I not already subbed? So yeah, I was like, I better do it now.
Yeah. So what are your views on how the paranormal has sort of evolved? I mean, do you think it has evolved, or do you think it's
constantly changing?
Yeah.
So back in the Victorian days, for example, it was very, very much like a lot of charlatans doing like most things. Like, so you had like, a lot of seances, a lot of like mediums would claim to get like ectoplasm come from their mouths, and they would use very fine silks and regurgitate them, and it was like sort of like a very like sort of mesh cloth. They would go into these closets like with curtains and claim to have things being chucked, and they'd be tied up, and then things would be running. These are all magician's tricks. That was mainly what the entirety of the Victorian age focused on. And then as time went on, it sort of wasn't too big. And then I think it started taking off around, I want to say like maybe 2006 with Most Haunted, which was a British TV show. And
we know.
And prior to that, actually, was The Scariest Places on Earth, which was hosted by Linda Blair and voiced by Tangina from Poltergeist.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Carolyn. I'll go on. I had to do that. And those were like, they sort of set the stage then for then like masses amounts, like taps, and there was things that were then on the Travel Channel, Discovery Plus, and it was all paranormal, and it inundated the entire field. And then everybody started like doing it in that sort of way. Like they would take a medium with them, they would go around a building, and then came the age of the gadgets and gizmos.
The parlor tricks have been around for a while.
Everybody would go into places with. I don't personally agree with going into a building, and you can do this, by the way. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's up to you. But walking in there with a mobile phone with ghost tube talking to
I can't stand using the phone.
And then people their entire hour investigation, their evidence is that phone dictionary. I'm like, really? Really? But what seems to be happening now is there's a complete and utter flip that's going on where people are sort of changing the way in which they conduct their investigations, because there's a bigger sort of overlook of sort of like this debunking attitude. We're in the debunking attitude era. That's the way to put it, which in some senses is a good thing, but in other senses it's not, because it's making people not be themselves.
I mean, I've talked about this, and it's bothered me for quite a while now. Like I said, I've seen quite a lot over close to 30 years that I've been in the paranormal, and like the debunkers have always been there. The skeptics have always been there, which is good. I mean, you need to have that balance. If you don't have that balance, everything is a ghost. But
yeah,
the problem that I'm finding now is is social media and YouTube in particular, with this sort of part and parcel sort of aspect, is that the paranormal now is you have the debunkers, and then you have the content creators, right? You have the debunkers, would call them fakers, if you will. And they don't care. They're not whatever they're putting out there is just bullshit, and they sit there. And the debunkers, they make their livelihood out of like literally personally attacking these people. And I find the minute you start bringing the personal sort of aspect into this sort of thing, it's like, really? Honestly,
I've been at the back end of the foot of this, which I've been over it about 1,000 times, so I can't be bothered to keep saying it. But
we have. I mean, we have, and I don't have a problem calling somebody out. I really don't. But the thing is, I'm not going to personally attack them. I'll criticize what they're presenting, right? If they're claiming that what we have is paranormal, I will criticize it constructively. I won't outright attack them. I mean, some of these people out there are vicious.
Yes, I don't think going at somebody personally is great. A great thing to really do. I mean, there are videos out there which I've gotten very sort of like worked up over, where they're like faking something where it's obviously fake.
Yeah.
And I get angry because by doing that and putting that out on the internet, it loses people's trust in it being an actual thing. So then I'll be like, stop posting this absolute, and then I'm like effing and blinding crap. Get it off the internet. This is why no one believes anything. Stop it. That's sort of what I'm like. But,
I get like that too. I do get like that. I do. And
this is Smug Puppy I'm talking about, and Really Haunted with Lee. I mean, that guy, right? I asked for his raw footage once because I was like, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and then he accused me of being a stalker. And I was like, what? I was like, I just want to see if this what's actually going on in your house? I was like, can I come round and investigate this? I'd love to see this firsthand. And he was like, no, go away. I was like, all right, calm down.
What I find hilarious is well, not hilarious but aggravating is when you're trying to be responsible, and you're on some sort of, I don't know, some sort of, I don't want to say, sounding archaic and saying message board, but Facebook group or whatever,
Yeah.
and they post a picture and they say, well, I've got proof of the paranormal. And then you go there and you say, hey, look, this is exactly what you have here. Because, from my, photography background or whatever, this is what this is.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm laughing because I've had this happen.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, all these people come out of the woodwork and start attacking you because they want it to be real.
You want to know something weird?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm on several of these Facebook groups, haunted happenings, paranormal, this, that, whatever. There's loads. I used to be this person that would go onto these things. Someone would post a photo, and then I don't know if you've ever seen Little Britain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I love Little Britain, man.
So somebody would post like an orb, and it would obviously be a dust particle going across the camera.
Yeah.
So I'd post a GIF of the scene from Little Britain of her going, "Dust? Anybody? No dust." Right?
Yeah.
And like you, everybody would be like, "If you don't like it, go away, go away. Don't come here." If you go on these same Facebook groups now, you'll find that the percentage of people saying to people this is nonsense is outweighed the people posting it and going, no, this is real.
Well, that's a good thing.
There's the shift that's happened.
A
massive shift.
Because people have for the longest time have bought into this.
They still do, but I think
they still do.
Slowly being educated, like slowly but surely, they're being educated. And I mean, at the end of the day, like especially with the apps and stuff like that, that's each to your own. If that's how you want to conduct your investigation, and that's what's bringing you, because you don't know these people. Like you, for example, there could be someone out there that's lost their entire family.
Yeah.
And they're using an app to communicate with ghosts, and that's their evidence, and it's personal to them, and that's what's keeping them have hope.
Yeah, you and
so
and,
I
and
can't take that away from those people. I can't turn around and say, stop using that app. If you use that app, you're clearly fake because it's nonsense. Because I don't want to take that away from them.
Yeah, no, I mean,
so there's educating people, but then there's also respecting their personal belief.
Well,
and there's a thin line between
there is a very thin line. I mean, I know I've gotten into schools. I've gotten into schools and talked to these teens about the paranormal. They're so infatuated with it, they're so enthralled with it and want to know more. And the fact that they know that you've been out there and investigated it, and they have all these questions that a lot of other people, well, we watched this show and is it true that this and that, and then when you kind of like gently tell them, well, no, you have to remember what you're seeing on TV is entertainment. It's entertaining. It's there to entertain you. I'm not saying that everything on there has been faked. I mean, there are tools and methods and so on and so on that are really employed in the paranormal sort of realm. But you have to remember, you're seeing like say 20 to 30 minutes of something that realistically was about 4 hours long. You're seeing
under pressure as well. Like you were saying like earlier at the start, like, do I not worry about putting things out where not really much is happening?
Yeah.
Well, I don't, I'm not under any contract or demand to have
exactly
the extreme level. Whereas other people out there Do you know what? I think some of them may have started with good intention, but then because of the pressures of the production companies, they started to lie. And I could right. This is news now. You heard this here first. So I've been on Unexplained Caught on Camera, which is on Discovery Plus, on one of their episodes.
Yeah.
And the episode they focused on there was 2 episodes of the Poltergeist house, and they also focused on Snuff Mills. And there's a story in Snuff Mills of a hooded monk that's down there. And I was watching it, and as it panned through the forest, my footage that I sent them, bear in mind, they do this panning shot through the forest, and they've superimposed a monk into the footage. And I'm watching this going, that wasn't, if I had seen that, I'd be making a song and dance about it. That was not there.
Wow. Yeah, it's wow. And
you can't believe anything that's said on telly. You really
no, absolutely not. It's I mean, I've been behind the camera. I know. I mean, I've worked on a couple shows, and you see, you get a better gist of things. I mean, it's look at they're trying to get people intrigued with the show. They're gonna do. I mean, maybe the first season of Ghost Hunters, maybe.
Yeah.
And then they quickly found out that with the second season that, wow, okay, maybe we need to start throwing stuff out here because we need to top the first season, and we've got nothing
chasing.
Yeah.
I mean, you even get with content creation and YouTube, you're constantly chasing.
Yeah.
But with me, I'm just like, oh, I hope this place gives up. I hope this it's cost me £300 to go here, something better happen. And then if it doesn't happen, I just sulk. I just go, well, this is it. I'm just gonna have to deal with it. Oh well.
What's the craziest thing that's happened?
Whatever.
Would you say? Yeah, for you. Yeah.
Okay, so this is I think there's like profound moments that changed me.
Mm-hmm.
So the profound moment that changed me was when I heard something running down a gravel path.
Yeah.
And there was no one there.
Oh, wow.
And in my head at the time, I was like blaming everything on animals and birds. And just everything. And then another member of my team at the time, Chris, heard this noise and he wanted to switch with me. And I was like, oh, here we go. He's heard something. Yeah, what have you heard? Like giving it all like this sort of big bollocks sort of attitude. Walks to the end of this bridge and I hear this running and everything. I just and I just like, honestly, that scared the hell out of me. But then the things that were like really extreme and profound were probably like just seeing things move, and I know nothing was there to move it. Like witnessing a ladder which is up against an attic come upright and then slam back down as if someone's grabbed it and then pushed it back down again. Like that's not normal. There was also a toy that went from the distance of like, I don't know, where this camera is to like all the way outside that door. Not in this house. God, I wouldn't be sat here if it happened in this room. I'll tell you that. I'd have moved. But yeah, this happened in would I have moved? I'd probably turn it into an event place, to be fair. But yeah, it happened in a house, and there was no one in the room. No one moved the object.
I've had lots of
things that I've been pushed.
Yeah. You've been pushed. Okay.
Yeah. So it was myself and Chris at the time was in the team, and we were actually reviewing some footage on the camera of something that just happened. I think we've seen this weird light, and we wanted to see if it was caught on the camera. So I'm up filming the camera that he's filming, and we're shoulder to shoulder. And then all of a sudden, it was like someone went like that into. So both me and him went like that. And then I went, why'd you push it? And he went, why'd you push me? And I'm like, hang on a minute. And then it clocked that we couldn't have pushed each other because we're concentrating on that. So then it was like, wait, something just pushed us that we cannot see. That was scary.
I bet.
That was, and I've had things whistle in my ear as well. That was scary.
I had I had my shirt tugged
Mm.
in an area where just didn't make any sense. There's nobody there with me, but literally you can feel it, being tugged, not blown, but tugged, and there was no air. It was very stagnant.
I've seen this happen. There's
Yeah.
there was one where Chris had a mask on, and do I have them? I don't know if I've got any around me. Ah, hang on.
Look at the Ouija board.
So I have these. Okay.
Okay.
I give it to people when we go to buildings because of the asbestos and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's got a little metal bracket
Yeah.
here.
Uh-huh.
So that sits on the nose, and then this sits around the ears like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can blow it.
Right?
Yeah. And I can move my mouth about. Look at that with my tongue. This is what the mask does in the video. And it pulls, and then it comes off the air, and then it does that.
Wow.
It comes off his face. It slides off his face, but it physically see it pull like that. So what you're talking about with the top there, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, crazy. Anne is asking, what about the door under the stairs, Mark, in the farmhouse?
That's the place, Anne, that obviously the mask happened. But yeah, no, that was more a startle, more than it took me, like sometimes you're in a situation and something takes you by surprise because you don't expect it. So I'm in this farmhouse under the stairs. No one else is near that door. They're all in the other room. And I've pulled the door shut, and it's one of the ones with the doorknobs, and you can hear it click into place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm in there with the camera filming me, and I'm going, come on, come on, come on. And I hear the latch unclick, and then the door opens, and I see no one there. And then I back into the corner, and I just go, the door just open, 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 like just complete disarray of just there. And I'm like, because I can't run anywhere, so I froze on the spot.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy.
And I didn't want to move because I was like, I'll interfere with the environment. So I was like, everybody get to me now. I don't want to move. So no one can go, oh, you did something.
I remember one time, I've mentioned this a few times, but I remember, being in this, we were doing work in an old abandoned pioneer cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
And we went up there one evening. It was, slightly foggy. It was a cool evening. And going up there, I think it was about, 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. in the morning, somewhere or other. And I was just going to go up there and do some audio work. And I remember there was 4 or 5 of us. And I remember we got up the hill and we split up. A couple went to the front of the cemetery, and then we went to the back. And as we're walking towards where we wanted to go, and this is only a small little place, not very big at all. And I'm snapping pictures, and I'm reviewing them right away, and I'm like, okay, something's weird here. Okay, wait a sec. There's somebody in between me and Mike, the guy in front. Whoa. So I snap another picture, and all I'm getting is Mike, and I'm like, okay, so who's here? Wait a sec here. Something's not right here. There's only 2 people. There's only one person in the photo, and yet there's 2 people in front of me. Shadow. Maybe there's a shadow happening. Something's not right here. So I go to Mike. I go, Mike. Where's so and so? Oh, he's in the front. He's in the front of the cemetery with so and so and so and so. Okay. Who's in between us? Because I'm snapping pictures, and then as soon as I said that, this shadow walks and veers off to the corner of the cemetery and completely disappears. I'm like, what the? Okay, So my head's thinking, okay, there's some sort of explanation here. Maybe it's a light from the street light. Maybe it's my shadow casting in the fog. What's going on? What's going on? I don't know. So we try to recreate it. We went down, went back up, exactly how we did. Snapping pictures, couldn't do it. It was the weirdest thing. The weirdest thing.
Hmm. Yeah, when you try and recreate it, sometimes it's just not possible to do.
Yeah.
And you almost want to go away and just be like, right, I'm going to send this to like some sort of expert out there. And then even if you do that, you don't get anything back. It's like they don't help. I've done it before. I've been in situations where I've sent things off and gone, help me with this, and then they just don't help. And I'm like, great.
Yeah, crazy. We're going to take a short break. Are you good for a little bit more?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll take a short break. We'll be right back. You're watching Nocturnal Frequency Radio. And of course, if you're listening to this later, New Visions Radio Network. We'll be right back with Mark of Haunted Truth.
I'm Richard Palmisano, the founder of the Searcher Group. It's a paranormal company, the oldest in Canada, founded in 1979, which not only makes me old, but makes me doing paranormal research and field work for just under 45 years now. I am also an author, researcher, and lecturer on the paranormal. I've written 6 books now. And I really enjoy coming on with Steve and Alex on Nocturnal Frequency Radio, as well as listening to the shows, because there's a lot of interesting guests there. I like it, looking at this stuff, because it opens your mind to other options and other alternative thoughts. And, there's always time to learn new things. So I hope you join us and come and see Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Thank you.
So let me ask you, what makes for good radio?
My 5 favorite songs all day long.
Play it again.
No.
As many commercials as physically possible.
What? No, why would that be good?
Great music, great talk shows, no commercials!
Precisely. New Visions Radio gives you no commercials, no nonsense, just the best new music and the best talk all day long, 24/7, 365. NewVisionsRadio.com.
Hey guys, Kristen here, host of the Paranormal Girl podcast, a bingeable exploration and deep dive education about the paranormal for the skeptical believer. Some of my past season topics have included shadow people, Mandela effect, demons, and UFOs. Currently, I am tackling Bigfoot. I have been sharing this journey with my audience since early 2021, and I have learned a lot these last few years. It's truly a mysterious world out there beyond our perceptions, and reality is just not what it seems. I have also, since the start, met some awesome folks like Alex and Steve, and I've really enjoyed watching and learning from them, and also joining them on their show. Their guests are always outstanding, their listeners are just the coolest, and these hosts are some of my favorite people. I recommend their show to anyone looking for an intelligent and fun conversation about the paranormal amongst friends. So join me on my investigation, join Steve and Alex on theirs, and enjoy. Now back to the show. You are watching Nocturnal Frequency Radio.
And that you are. Thanks for tuning in and watching, or however you're checking us out. Tonight we have Mark from Haunted Truth. Is it Haunted Truth or Haunted the Truth?
It's technically Haunted the Truth.
Oh, Haunted the Truth.
Yeah, but you can use either. People just kept saying Haunted Truth, that I ended up just saying Haunted Truth, but it's Haunted, technically speaking, it's Haunted the Truth.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So it's like, is it haunted? We're giving you the truth. That's what it means.
And you could, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, the link is in the show description. By all means, go over and subscribe to Mark's channel.
Feel free to watch stuff first. Like, you don't have to just subscribe straight away. I'm not one of these people like, you must subscribe now. Like, watch it. If you like it, subscribe.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I've been intrigued. Like I said, I've watched a few things on your channel, and I've thoroughly enjoyed them.
Thank you.
I think there's some really good content there, and I mean, it's good to see people who create this content and provide it, and kind of being honest about it. I mean, a lot of people out there, will scream, clickbait. This is fake and it's ridiculous. It's just this isn't paranormal. This has got nothing to do with the paranormal or whatever. And it's really good, like I said, to see people who Mark, do you think it's because I know been me doing it as long as I've been doing this, looking at the paranormal, investigating, and whatever else, I've found myself through the experiences that I've been through, and the experience that I've gained, and I think, Alex, you might be the same way. You, I found myself becoming more skeptical with a lot of stuff.
I've always been.
Yeah.
Like, I've always been skeptical, but I find myself becoming more skeptical.
I think the word you're trying to come up with is cynical.
Yeah,
Okay.
cynical.
Or with your own stuff, or what you watch online?
Everything.
Yeah, pretty much
How
everything.
do you look at the paranormal period? I mean, like,
there's been so much, for lack of a better term, bullshit going out there regarding the paranormal
Yeah.
that it's hard not to be cynical nowadays.
Especially with AI. AI's making
Well,
it
that
hard.
too.
Yeah,
right?
that's
But
just
even
another
prior to the advent of AI, there was a lot of
There's a few
crap.
There's a few things that I look out for if I watch something now, and it's the way in which people talk about their experience. Like, someone told a story the other day. Like, no, my mum, actually. I was speaking to my mum, and she was saying she watched something, and she was going, "Oh, this happened, that happened," and I was just turning, like, I turned off in my head, and then she went, "Oh," and then they described the shadow as being darker than dark, and I was like, "Well, what did you say?" Because I've got a team member that has seen a shadow. It wasn't filmed on camera, but their description of it was darker than dark. So when I heard a different account of that, I was more led to believe that had happened. And I just noticed then that Fright Night Project, so that's actually Chris, who used to be part of Haunting the Truth.
Oh, and Chris is in chat, I believe, is he not? Yes.
Yeah, so he, talking of that shadow figure, actually, that was actually captured in the Poltergeist house, which I myself and the team did 3 visits there, and then a 4th visit where we did an interview with the owner. And earlier on you spoke about not putting everything in and sometimes cutting things out, and he's actually, I've been given him all the original raw footage to make a longer version of it, and that's what he's putting out on his channel tomorrow about 8. I don't know what time it would be for US.
5 hours ahead. Well, it depends on where
3
you are.
o'clock, 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So that's like an extended version of the demonic poltergeist. But yeah, that's what you're saying is true. You don't know what to believe unless it's something that you've experienced yourself.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you kind of gauge. Yeah, exactly. You kind of gauge what you're seeing with what you've probably, or something similar, and it kind of equates to what you mentioned before, though, Mark. To fully understand, to truly understand what's going on, we all need to sort of put our pieces together as a whole and add to it, and help. Like, I mean, we're constantly students. We're constantly learning about what is going on, and I think something that I might have stumbled upon may help you with maybe a case that you're working on, or something that you found, and likewise you with something maybe I've kind of been stumbling with it, but you might have had experiences, I mean, bouncing stuff off each other, you know what I mean, and sort of building that sort of rapport. And I know Alex and I've talked about this too. I mean, the paranormal, it's like the Wild West, and there is no regulations. Do we need regulations, do you think? What are your thoughts about what are your thoughts about that, Mark? I mean,
Regulations in what sense? You mean people calling out bollocks?
do you think that
pretty much
that maybe needs to be a peer review system sort of thing with a lot of what's going on?
It really depends on what the viewer is trying to get out of it, because I mean, you could argue, do we need regulations for false mediums or false clairvoyance or false tarot reading?
True.
But then the person is, that person's getting some sort of closure, then do we have a right to regulate their closure? But then at the same time,
Yeah. Good point.
if there's a financial gain from it, so let's say, for example, I claimed my house to be haunted and that I had something horrible here and I could barely live with it and it's upsetting me and my entire family. Please donate to me. Oh, I can't handle there's a spirit in my house. Right. That's a con artist.
Yeah.
Yes, they definitely should be called out.
Mm-hmm.
That's illegal for starters, right? There's laws for that sort of thing. But there's people like like Smug Puppy, who are clearly fake. It's like laughable fake. And if people want to believe it, they can. But then it's sort of like parody-esque. I used to get really angry at them, but now I just find it funny.
Yeah.
I spoke to Parpool about this sort of thing, and he pulled away from the whole condemning and debunking people ideology, and it was like, well, they might be fake, but they're entertaining. And what's this about? Is it about someone lying to somebody, or is it about somebody giving entertainment to somebody? And then there's the other one, which is giving closure to somebody, regardless if they're real or not. So it's a very weird area.
It is. It's a gray area, and I mean, you do have to be careful. Not just with what you're presenting, but I mean, there's all sorts of things. When you're, for instance, going into a location and you have to think about the safety of not only yourself but the people that you're bringing in. You have to think about the safety of the people who've invited you in, who might be wanting to know answers. And that you're able to get, possibly give them answers. And I think the proper thing to respond with is, we may not be able to explain this, but we might be able to give you some theories. We might be able to help you in that. But I don't think, I mean, you can explain certain things. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, that's what you want to do, is you want to go in and explain the explainable. And then
I used to.
Yeah.
I used to, at the end of the videos, like the old videos, I used to, even if I had stuff happen, I'd always get to the end of the video and then I'll just be like, well, because of this and this, we can't determine that it's this or this due to these factors. And then people then started turning around to me and saying like, well, what's the point of putting all that video together to then just tear it all apart at the end?
Yeah.
Like you pretty much just, you may as well not have put out at all, because you've got us all like interested in this to then bring us all down. So there was that. And then I just come to the conclusion that I'm not in a position to tell somebody what's real and what isn't. They can take away from my video what they want to believe. So for example, if they want to believe that Frankie Fry was in the house in the episode which recently went out, that is his spirit that's really there, then they can believe that. Or if they want to believe that it's natural causes and it's the bangs or something to do with where the cars are traveling past the main road outside and it's causing a vibration through the building, they can believe that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. There and this is why you need to have the multi perspective on how to deal with this. I mean, this is, again, you don't have a manual to sort of understanding a lot of this stuff. And I mean, there are people who are experienced in this field and have
They say they are.
Well, I mean, there are people who I truly do believe, they've really come a long way. I mean, it's rare, but I mean, there are people. I mean, we've had quite a lot of people on here that. I mean, Michael Esposito, for instance, who's a musician, but he's also a researcher of EVP. This guy's just phenomenal, and his work is behind the scenes, and that's why I find a lot of people who seriously do the research, seriously investigate, seriously don't put themselves out there because they have no need for it.
No,
No?
I've had this as well where, I got told once by, like, one of my friends said to me, "Look, are you trying to make something entertainment to grow to be something on YouTube, or are you trying to document and understand an anomaly in a scientific manner? Because you can't do both. Like, I can't have a YouTube channel if I'm trying to go about it objectively and scientifically, because by default, having a platform where I'm putting something online for the masses to see, it instantly falls into the entertainment bracket, and then you're not considered at all by the scientific community. They will completely. That's just out of the window.
The scientific community records everything. Anyway, they just don't put it out on a public
platform.
Yeah,
it's the fact, it's the putting it online part that they have a problem with.
I see that. Yeah, and you know what? It's. I guess you can look at it both ways in a sense, because I mean the general person is not going to have the means by which to have recording equipment. Like, I mean, if you just want to do this for yourself, are you going to go out and buy a $200-$300 camera just to record your whatever you're doing, or are you just going to use your cell phone and upload it to YouTube to store it there? Because then you also have to think about storage. Now, when you make it public, I can see your argument. If you're using YouTube or Google just to store it, that's a different story, obviously.
Yeah, I see. I guess what you mean. I mean, I've gone into places, I've done all sorts of. It just gets silly after a point now, and I just come to the conclusion of, look, I'm just going to do it my way, and I'm not doing it for anybody. But at the end of the day, I'm doing it for my own personal journey, and whoever wants to come on that journey with me can. And whatever they want to believe on that journey, they can.
I always say, let your work do the talking.
Yeah, no one's. But then I get accused of sitting on the fence. You can't win.
You can't. No, you can't win. I mean, that's the one thing about this. You just can't win, no matter what. I mean,
yeah, and this harkens back to the point that Steve brought up, which is something that I've been saying for years as well, about having that sort of agency, if you want to call it that,
agency. I love that.
Whatever you want to call it, agency. I know. Peer review. Point is this: even in the medical field, you have practitioners who are pseudoscientists. That's not going to ever go away. Yeah, people who push snake oil. That's never going to go away.
Homeopath.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want to progress the field of the paranormal into legitimacy, you have to have some sort of guideline and peer review, and have these people call out the bullshitters. Because the last thing you want is to have the bullshitters have the platform where millions of people can say, "Oh yeah, he's right," or "Yeah, she's right." You want to be able to call them out. If you're going to make a claim about a paranormal, you better be ready to prove it. Because if you can't prove it, then get the fuck out.
On that note, though, I don't think that the people that call out the bullshitters have a right to call out the bullshitters without having some sort of the credential intelligence.
Exactly, Mark. That's I
don't have any knowledge of a ghost, in the same way that I don't have a right to say that's 100% a ghost.
I agree.
But it's all about the technique. Right? Yeah, you don't have to be, because again, we've argued this before at the first hour. Not argued, but it was brought up. There are no experts in this field, really. No. It's the unknown. No. However, to be able to do certain things, there are established protocols. You want to do certain things scientifically, there's established protocols. And if you don't adhere to those protocols, then you can argue that person is not presenting the truth. If all you're doing is going into a room and saying, "Oh, the hair on the back of my neck is standing up, therefore paranormal," that's bullshit.
Well, there's a degree of, I suppose what I get what you're saying. There's a degree of like general common sense
rules.
knowledge, I suppose.
There is, and obviously it's going to, like, even in the scientific community, when it first started off, it wasn't what it is today. It grew. Additional information became available. Rules changed. Ideologies changed. Philosophies changed. This is the same thing, but it has to start somewhere. If it doesn't start somewhere, this field will never be taken seriously. Ever.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know if I genuinely don't think it ever will.
No, it won't.
Get taken seriously because there's far too much. It's in the same sense, but it's sort of coming around a little bit now. And I often wonder, this is a bit conspiracy now, but I often wonder if it's almost like the lunatics are planted.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As if we're not supposed to find out. So people are put there to like fake, especially with alien stuff. I mean, years ago, that was like, oh, none of this is real, none of this is real, none of this is real. And suddenly Congress come forward and start turning around and saying that they've got evidence. It's like, what? What's going on here? Like, I don't even know what to believe. When you can't even believe the people in charge, who do you believe?
No one.
No one.
Exactly.
I mean, that's
the only person you can believe is yourself.
Even then,
I don't.
Can't always believe yourself either.
I mean,
memories are fallible.
Yeah.
Memories are fallible.
Yeah,
camera,
Yeah.
your camera and your head.
That's right. There you go.
Those two things work together, then that's what you can believe.
That's right. You document.
Yeah.
Oh, if you're able to document, yeah, and even more so if you're able to use, multimedia to document, even better. Audio, visual, if you're able to. I mean, I've had, like I said, I had an experience with something that I wish I was able to I wish I had something to document it with. But because I didn't have anything to visually document this, it's a personal experience.
Yeah.
Right. And one that is just completely out of this world, and it's baffling. But I mean, you can only take me at my word. That's what I saw. Well, he's a guy that's level-headed. He doesn't normally, lie about shit. He's pretty responsible, and blah blah blah. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to, kind of, prop up and say, hey, look this happened this way, and it really didn't.
I would say, even though that it hasn't been physically documented, it shouldn't be cast away, especially if your accounts are similar to other people's accounts of within the same thing. Like I touched on earlier with the shadow figure, like the fact that my Josh, another team member in Haunt the Truth, seen this shadow figure down the corridor, didn't know anything about it, didn't know any prior knowledge about it, and the way that he described it matched exactly what the family describes it as. And then I watched that program. No, not me, but my mum watched that program on the telly, and then they describe it in exactly the same way he describes it. You've got several accounts. Yes, it hasn't been documented, but surely that's one step to like going, oh, hang on a minute, we've got several accounts here of the same thing going on. I get witness statements, aren't foolproof, even in law, but they are a step into trying figuring something out.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fun part. That's the fun part. The constant trying to figure out what is going on. I mean, that's the beauty of this. That's the intrigue of this. This is what constantly keeps you going back. And I mean, when I started doing this radio show, you know, I was the thought was to bring stuff that people had not, you know, kind of talked about before. And the paranormal, there's a lot of that stuff. But the thing is, it's now becoming so sparse because a lot of it's been talked about before in some manner. But, you know, finding those unique stories, exactly that. Unique. It's hard. It's rare to find those, you know, those, the you know, the pin in the haystack sort of thing, and go, wow. Like, I mean, you know, something that I don't know what intrigues you the most about the paranormal, Mark. What intrigues you the most? Why do you keep doing it? What intrigues you the most?
It's that, isn't it? It's the unknown.
Yeah.
It's the right. Okay, that just done that. That's like I'm into card tricks as well.
Yeah.
I'm an entertainer in my life, so I go to a bar and I perform card tricks, and I've watched an awful lot of like Penn and Teller and people like that.
Yeah.
And for the same reason that I got into watching magic and, you know, going down that avenue and figuring out tricks and figuring out magic, it's the exact same reason why I'm into the paranormal.
Yeah.
Because it was the unknown. I was like, oh, this is mystical. This is fascinating. It's something that makes me, it's an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
It's a massive addiction because once you get something that happens that's mental, that's all you're looking for is that next mental. And, you know, to a certain degree, you can become like almost like get a spoiled attitude towards it because, you know, I've been in situations where I've had things happen, which to some people, they would consider it to be amazing. But to me, I'm there going, that's not enough. I want to see you throw that. Yeah, you just knocked the ceiling. I heard a knock on the ceiling. That's not enough. Throw that across the room. I've seen something throw something across the room before. Do it. Right? And then it's that anticipation, the wait, the wonder, the mystery of this that I think is what's most compelling.
Yeah.
It's that child-like brain of like, you know, like sort of like Father Christmas almost. You know what I mean? It's that what is this? It's yeah. I think that's the only thing I can do is
it's unexplainable, just like the paranormal.
Expression. That's it.
It's the unexplainable. The unknown has always been intriguing to, you know, to humans throughout history, right? I mean, it's evident.
I always wonder, like, if like Neil deGrasse Tyson or Brian Cox come forward tomorrow and they were like, right, so all these occurrences in the paranormal, due to these experiments we've been doing and in the Large Hadron Collider, we've smashed these two particles together and it's opened up a void and we can explain everything and we have a reason for it and here's the explanation. I probably wouldn't need to do it anymore. I'd probably be like, oh, okay.
That's part of the beauty of it, right? Because there are no answers, no definitive answers to it, and it also in my opinion, it also boils down to it's akin to a personal journey in life, right? Everyone does it for their own reason, right? Whether it be because they want to communicate with a loved one that passed away, whether it be, you know, to be able to assure themselves that there's something that exists beyond our physical life, or any number of other reasons. But it's almost like a personal spiritual journey, right? Yeah. More so, I believe, and again, this is strictly my opinion. I could be completely out to left field for this, but if someone isn't truly religious, I have a feeling that they tend to be more involved in this. I'm talking about people in the paranormal field. People who are very religious don't tend to kind of be involved as much as people who aren't, is what I've come across.
Yeah.
Only because someone who's religious has that sort of void fulfilled, whether rightly or wrongly, with religion.
To a certain extent, but it's also very much frowned upon. there's passages in the Bible that explicitly tell you not to get involved with the occult.
Of course. Yeah. That's part of it. But I mean, for me personally, having been born and raised in a Catholic family, I'm not religious. I wasn't religious even as a child.
Mm.
I have that void inside of me that needs to be filled, and I've tried the occult, I've tried other things to fill that void that most religious people that I've come across and talked to don't have that void.
Mark, he really can't walk into a church without vomiting.
Yeah, as the intro states.
But he was eyeing your Ouija board there in the background.
That's on a raffle at the moment. If someone wants to win it,
I've already got 3.
£1.
You've only got 3.
I've already got 3 Ouija boards. I don't think I need a 4th one.
I've got the original. I got this one as well. Hang on. You can't. You don't matter how many Ouija boards I make or build. Nothing's ever gonna beat the OG.
Oh yeah,
original. Yeah,
I got that one too. Yeah.
You can't beat that at all. You really can't.
So that's cool. You make your own Ouija boards.
Yeah, so that's one that I built, and then I was trying to sell it, but nobody was buying it. So then I put it on a raffle page, so it's up for a raffle at the moment.
Nice.
Might be slightly harder to get it over to the States though. Probably cost me more in shipping than it would.
Shipping is ridiculous. I know it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I made my own. I've never had them move. I've got a dead arm sitting on them before. You know, people give it this like stories of like, yeah, you're gonna go on them and you're gonna invite demons in and all hell's gonna break loose. And I'm like, mate, I've gone into a cemetery at 3 a.m. and sat there with a Ouija board going, come at me then.
I've done that too.
Alex has done that
too.
Yeah, Alex has done that too.
Nothing has happened. I've just got a dead arm.
Well, something happened to me, but I mean, I haven't invited anything. Like, it didn't follow me home. It's not that.
Did it move? I've never had them move.
Okay, so let me tell you the story. This is a funny story. Myself and 2 other guys. This is back when I was like 17, 18 years old, long time ago. Right? We were at my friend's house, and his apartment was literally next door to the cemetery where we did this. Right? We were bored, teenage kids, whatever, bored. We were like, what are we going to do? I had the brilliant idea. Hey, let's go into the cemetery and play the Ouija board on top of a grave. So both my friends were like, all right, let's go. So we went. We went into, and this cemetery was divided into 3 sections. We went into the middle section. And it's ironically enough, this is the same cemetery that my parents are now buried in.
Okay.
So this happened years prior, obviously, before they passed away. So we went in there. We found the flat gravestone, and we put the Ouija board on top. Now, one of the 3 of us was a skeptic. He didn't believe the Ouija board worked or what have you. The other guy and myself did believe in it. And so I told the guy who was a skeptic that I would play with him, and the other guy would look out for the security guard just to make sure if someone came, we were, booking it out of there. So we sat the Ouija board on top of the tombstone, and him and I started, moving the planchette around, asking for a spirit to contact us, what have you. And then what I like to do with people who are skeptical, just to prove that I'm not moving the planchette, is I'll take my hands off at any given moment without telling them. So the planchette starts moving. We're asking questions, and then I take my hands off. The guy playing with me decides to do the same thing, and the planchette still kept moving.
Okay,
so
that's weird.
Fuck. Yeah, right? So we put our hands back on, and we're like, okay, time to go. We sorry we bothered you. Good night. And it kept saying no. Kept going to no. It took a while, but eventually we got it to say goodbye, and then we just picked up the board and we got out of there. But yeah, needless to say, that skeptic was no longer a skeptic that night.
That's very, very, very interesting that you took your hands off and it's kept on going. I did get told a story the other day by somebody that purchased one of my old Ouija boards that they used at an event I went to, and I didn't know about this. And apparently they've got footage, but they don't know where it is at the moment, where they're using the planchette, doing the normal yes/no stuff, and then the board underneath rotates.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I would like
crazy.
Find that footage, please.
Yeah,
they were tagged in it in Facebook, and they can't find where they were tagged in it to, and I'm like, no.
Yeah,
like,
that'd be
please
insane.
find that. Whoever's got that, if people are watching this back, because I've told a couple of people from my side.
Yeah.
If you know of this footage, please get it to me. I need to see it.
Yeah, that would be insane to see something.
Apart from that, I've never had anything happen. I mean, there's also like the idiomotor effect, which is, do you know about that?
Yep.
So for those people that don't know about it, basically, you're subconsciously moving it.
Yeah. Well, this is why I moved my hand that night.
Yeah, the fact
I wanted to
you both
prove
took
to the
your
guy
hands off.
playing with me who was skeptical that I wasn't the one pushing it.
You know, that sounded
And
funny.
then he
right?
took his hand off and it kept going. See, that's outrageous. That is.
Yeah.
That for
But
me,
that
just goes to show you don't even need to put your hands on it. We should.
Yeah.
Everybody who's watching as a Ouija
Yeah.
board, don't bother putting your hands on it. Just put the
If you're in a
planchette down
cemetery,
and
you shouldn't have
Just let it move. Let it
Yeah.
move.
But
Yeah.
I have another story if you want to hear it.
Go on.
It was at a friend's, and this is years later. The same guy who was looking out for the security guard, this guy Frank, who Steve has met.
Yeah.
Him and I, whenever we played it, it seemed to work the best when him and I played it together for whatever reason. So we were with another buddy of ours who had an office in downtown Toronto at the time, and he claimed that there was some funny stuff going on in there. So he wanted us to, do a session. Like, okay. And he was skeptical, right?
Yeah.
So I said to him, okay, Frank and I can play. The only way I'm going to be able to prove to you that this is legitimate is if you ask questions that only you should know the answer to. Right? Because I can't do it any other way. If you don't want to play it, then that's the only way you're going to get any sort of results out of it is you ask questions that you've never told me anything about, so that if it answers right, more than once, obviously, if it's just a one question, it could be a fluke. But if you ask multiple questions and it gets it right, then you have your proof. It's more for him than me. It wasn't like I didn't care. So we started playing, and he, the other friend who's skeptic, whose name is John, kept asking questions, and apparently, according to him, right, we were getting the answers right. I go, okay. So I told Frank, let's crank this up a notch, and sort of do it give it more interesting. Let's close our eyes and avert our heads so we're not even looking at the board. Right. And I told him we would do this, and you keep asking your questions. And John kept asking questions. And again, according to him, we were getting the answers right. Right. And at this time, we were like this, playing with our heads turned and our eyes closed.
Some people have done it blindfolded, I've seen.
Right. Right. Well, we didn't have a blindfold, so we did it that way. But anyway, so apparently we got it right. And apparently he became a believer that night as well.
It's interesting. It's food for thought, I must say. I don't know if it's just like individuals then, and maybe, I mean, when I used to do it, I was really skeptical, and people go, "Well, that's why," and I go, "Well, is that a cop-out reason to give me?"
Yeah, I have played recently with Gord. I don't know if you've watched some of our back episodes and you watch the shows where we have Dr. Demon Gord on. I've played the Ouija board with him, and nothing happened. Yeah. Oh, I don't disagree. Ouija boards are definitely toys, but
you can actually get them in like Toys R Us, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
The intent.
You can be. That doesn't matter. It's the intent, right? So I'm a firm believer that with the Ouija board, you do push it. Subconsciously, you push it, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a physical. I mean, I know I'm kind of contradicting myself here with the story I said about the cemetery.
You never do that.
It could be. Yeah, I never know. I honestly, the honest truth is, I don't really know how it works. I'm speculating here. At the cemetery, it moved on its own for a brief second because it's not like we had our hands off for like 5 seconds and it kept moving. We had our hands off. He took his hands off at the same time, and it moved for a fraction of a second.
This makes me wonder though because people go, "Oh, you need to have the connection. It's channeling through you."
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of people don't like using them, because they say that you're actually channeling the spirit through you, and you're opening the door by channeling through you. So you're letting it in through you.
Mm-hmm.
But then the argument is now that that's moved by itself without you even touching it.
And the same can be said. Like I mean, when you're conducting an EVP session,
yeah,
It's the intent. You're intending to make contact with whatever realm that we're dealing with. Right? Maybe the afterlife, maybe another sort of realm of existence, dimension, whatever.
Yeah.
It's the intent. It's just different tools. I mean, yes, that's a board game. Yes, that's a recorder. They're not made for this stuff, but all of a sudden, it's why you're using those tools.
That's right. And good thing you brought that up, Steve, because I was just about to say that too, because Ouija boards may very well be a toy, but recorders were not meant for paranormal use either.
No, absolutely.
Right? So,
not.
And we use it, and we've, a lot of people have captured some interesting things on it, and even video cameras, right? A lot of things.
There are ways in which you can put things under sort of test conditions, though, for those people out there that like things to be foolproof. So whilst you were talking about the Ouija board and you were talking about looking away and talking about being blindfolded and talking about only your friend knowing the information, whilst you were saying all that, I come up with another idea, which is if you have a third party, so two people on the Ouija board, somebody not on the Ouija board, and then in a bag, you have a bunch of bits of paper with questions written on them, like a tombola.
Yeah.
And they spin the tombola, pull one of the questions out, goes like this to the air. Here's your question.
It doesn't say it out loud.
Yeah, they don't say it out loud. You two on the Ouija board have no idea what that question is. They show the camera, they show the air. If that then answers that question on that board, there's no one that anyone could, well, but they could go, this whole thing's made up. But for you and the individuals there, no one can take that away from you. It's foolproof.
So to add to that story, the last story I said with us having our eyes averted, John, who was asking the questions, did intimate that because throughout the whole session, the planchette was moving.
Yeah.
And it was going. And again, we weren't looking, so we don't know where it was going. He intimated to us that after the session was done, that he did ask some questions only in his head, and it answered correctly. All right. So much like what you said, and I like the way you're thinking, because you're using that method to either prove that it works or prove that it's a hoax.
Mm-hmm.
One or the other.
You pull because even if like he's doing it in his own head, the psychological aspect of him wanting the answer could still influence it.
Yeah.
Whereas if he doesn't even know what the question is because the third party's showing it at thin air.
Mm-hmm.
I did this the other day in regards to the SB11 spirit box.
Mm-hmm.
Now the answers are always questionable on that.
Yeah.
So I've got it go, and then I go to the camera whilst someone else is round the corner, and I go to the camera, say this number, right? And then it then goes to me. It then goes 5. I shit myself.
Yeah, that was pretty intriguing, man.
Yeah. And then I turn to Will, who's with me, and I go, what did you hear? Bear in mind, he hasn't seen me do this. And he goes, I heard the number 5.
Yeah, that was pretty freaking intriguing, man, when I saw that. Like literally, you just see you're putting your hand up 5.
Yeah.
Right. And then all of a sudden, goes, can you tell 5. Me what number? And then all of a sudden you hear 5.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
That to me is really interesting. It's to that point of, and I don't know if there's any other people here that are investigators. This is something that I think it's a very good experiment to do with the Ouija boards that you're talking about, or even having a bit of paper and then writing down a word, like, I don't know, house, and then go in, don't show anyone else, and then just go, say this word, and then placing the paper down on the table.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great. And the fact, that just, wow. That was pretty. Alex, check out the Bristol house. He just posted it up.
Yeah, I just subbed to your channel. I'll take a look at some of the videos.
That's pretty intriguing. Pretty intriguing.
Yeah.
Wow. Mark, I want to thank you for coming on, man.
I appreciate time.
You know, would love to have you back on. Maybe a paranormal round table. We would love to. And guys, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, just let me know. And if anyone here wants to know anything further or have any other questions, you can always message me on the videos themselves, or you can email me at hauntedthetruth@gmail.com. I'm always open and happy to talk about anything, so long as you're not, being nasty to me.
Yeah. And again, like I said, the link is in the show description. Go check out Mark's the vids there, and if you like, obviously subscribe and like and so on and so on. And yeah, hit the like button for this. Come on, guys, hit the like button here. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe.
Hit the like and leave a comment.
Yeah, leave your comments. Don't be bashful.
You wouldn't believe how much it helps. A lot of people don't realize it actually really, really helps to press those buttons.
Yeah.
It's that one little click that you do is the next step to help the algorithm on YouTube.
Yeah. Mark, it's been great. Really appreciate you coming on. I know what it's what after what time is it there? It's like 12.
5 hours ahead of us.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. So thank you again, bud. Really, really appreciate it and look forward to the next time that we have you on. So take care, my friend.
Bye.
Take care,
Good
Mark.
evening. Good evening. That was really, really cool. Like I said, check out Mark's channel, Haunted Truth.
Yeah. He's a very level-headed guy.
Very level-headed, and very, 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 very level-headed. You know what?
What?
That was very, very cool. Next Sunday night, man. I'm looking forward to next Sunday night. Next Sunday night, the return of director Richard Stanley.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun show,
guys. If you
talk
didn't
more about H.P. Lovecraft,
H.P. Lovecraft, The Other World.
Yeah,
I mean, I watched it, and you know what? There is. It's hard to find a good copy of it. But guys, if you don't know director Richard Stanley, A Color Out of Space with
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage, Hardware, and there's so many other flicks. Dudes and dudettes. Next Sunday night, we're starting again at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 p.m. UK time. Because Richard Stanley is coming to us live from the Pyrenees Mountains in southern France. And that in itself is one crazy place to look at.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard will tell us all about that plus more. If you didn't check the first one out, it's pinned on our page here on our channel. Check it out. Watch the first time us having him on. I mean, what an intriguing guy.
Yeah.
Dude, man, the guy is so knowledgeable.
Yes.
And after that, we're going to have our good friend Michelle Drochet on from Canada's Most Haunted. And the Outer Realm will be joining us. Awesome. And I just want to point out, this is our 10th year on New Visions Radio Network, on the New Visions Radio Network. Holy fuck, man. Time has flown by. 10 fucking years. 10 fucking years. 10 years. I want to thank Michael for bringing us aboard. It really changed things. It really did. I mean, and all the people that it really kind of made us think, because I mean, like we were small time, and then we went to New Visions Radio Network, and shit just blew up.
It did, yeah.
150,000 live listeners, dude. That's a lot of fucking people.
Yes, it is.
And over the years, obviously, we started simulcasting here on YouTube, and we were hoping to kind of like translate all those listeners and bring them over to the visual sort of aspect. And it's been hard, but still, it's been a really, really cool journey. I mean, the show has really evolved over the years, and with the guests that we've had on the show over the years.
Yeah.
Some really classic people, some really, really respected people, some
and
not
some
only
not so respected.
well, yeah, but I mean, you know what? The ones that are that have been respected are friends.
Yeah.
Have become friends.
Yep.
Right.
And we made a lot of friends throughout the years.
A lot of friends, and again, here on YouTube, with all you guys, thank you again for the support. Really appreciate it. Always appreciate it. Yeah. So until next Sunday night with Richard Stanley, guys, this is going to be a great show. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun show. Definitely tune in for that one.
Yeah. Take care, everyone. Have a good night, and
Good night.
see y'all later. And thanks again, Mark, of Haunted Truth, for this evening. Once again, you can listen to it live. Well, the rebroadcast on the New Visions Radio Network tonight at 9:00 in about an hour's time. Take care, guys. Good night. Later.
Good night.